The honeymoon years represent the third stage in the life cycle of a bariatric surgery patient, and I've found it probably one of the most enjoyable and most fun parts of this whole process. So as a reminder, the honeymoon years essentially follow your immediate recovery from surgery, where you've gone from this initial post-operative state where you're learning how to eat and keep your fluid in and get enough nutrition in, to that next stage where you're able to meet these goals, and we're really starting at this point see significant weight loss, and you're getting back to your regular life and enjoying it at 25, 50, 75, 100, even more pounds of weight loss as you progress through this time. Of course, the honeymoon years have to end, and ultimately I think almost every patient will battle weight regain, most successfully, but some not so successfully. The honeymoon years really represent this point in your life after surgery where you're feeling well. You don't feel like you're recovering from surgery. Your pain is essentially gone. Your energy level is very reasonable. You're meeting your fluid and your protein requirements with ease. Eating is no longer a struggle or a chore or something that kind of is a real challenge to you. You're able to eat comfortably, and small amounts of food allow you to feel very full. You really only crave healthy and nutritional foods. You have no taste for junk and no taste for processed foods. And you have the very best and most fun relationship you've ever had with the bathroom scale. Every time you get on the scale, you're losing more and more weight. It really is a wonderful time. This is what everybody hopes and dreams for when they decide to have this surgery. But I think it's really important to understand these years in the context of all 5 stages, so that we understand that at some point the honeymoon will end, and at some point you may start to battle weight regain, and to use these honeymoon years to set yourself up for future success. This is without question the best phase of all. The weight is coming off, you have fantastic appetite control, very small portions of food satisfy you, you crave healthy foods, and you have a great energy level and are very willing and motivated to exercise. So because of all these things that are happening, it's really important that we use this time period not as a period where we just don't have to think about food anymore. We don't have to worry about our lifestyle and about our weight. And I understand why you would want to think that, because you've struggled for so long, and finally you have this opportunity where you don't really have to struggle that much anymore. And to say, I need a break from this. Let me just enjoy this success and enjoy this feeling, instead of having to worry about my weight and be depressed about it. Instead, I want to be excited about it. And I get that. And I think you absolutely do deserve that. But at the same time, it's important to recognize that it's these hormonal changes that are causing this, and there will be a shift back toward normalcy. Not all the way back, but certainly back toward normalcy. And we want to use this temporary period where you have where your body is giving you great advice about what to eat, how much to eat, and whether or not to exercise to your advantage. We want to set you up so that over the long run, you begin a pattern of behaviors, a new lifestyle that you are able to carry out as those hormonal changes start to revert back toward what they were before surgery. I find setting goals and being very deliberate during this process to be incredibly helpful to keep you on track, to establish these goals for yourself of what you want to achieve in terms of your lifestyle change. Now, most people, when they set goals, use the bathroom scale to set these goals. I want to lose 25 pounds by 2 months out from surgery. I want to lose 50 pounds by 6 months. I want to lose 100 pounds by a year. And they look and measure their success based on weight loss. I think this is a huge mistake, because for many reasons, you are not directly in control of how fast you lose weight. And let's be honest, if it took you 18 months to lose 100 pounds, is that really any worse than if it only takes you 1 year and you still have that same 100 pounds of weight loss? So I don't like people to use the bathroom scale because it distracts you from all of the other important things. What will happen with the bathroom scale is you will go up and down for reasons that we don't understand. You may have a terrible nutrition day and not exercise at all for several days, and all of a sudden you drop 3 or 4 pounds. On the other hand, you may be doing everything right and the scale doesn't budge. And that's because the scale is moving for reasons other than what you're eating and what you're exercising. Weight loss during this honeymoon period is different than weight loss at other stages in your life. At other stages, there's a direct correlation. You eat really well, you exercise, you'll generally see some improvement. You eat poorly, you don't exercise, you'll generally see the scale go up. There is this correlation. In the honeymoon phase, when this is being driven by these hormonal shifts that happen after surgery, it's happening for reasons we don't know about. And so we'll see you all of a sudden drop 3 or 4 pounds because of some random physiologic reason that we don't know about and we can't control. So when you use the scale and you look at your body weight as a measurement of success and as your guide, what you'll find is that you may do everything right and it doesn't budge, and that gives you bad feedback. I want to make sure that you have good feedback and you set goals that are behavioral in nature, understanding that the right nutritional behaviors, the right exercise behaviors will ultimately lead to the scale getting as low as it possibly can. So we want to focus on setting goals during this honeymoon period. Another thing that we'll talk about in the rest of this course is how to establish whether you're on track. What we find is that within the first few months, we can identify who's not going to lose a lot of weight. So we know that in terms of the amount of weight you lose, there's a bell curve. There's super responders, people in the top 10 or 15% who lose a ton of weight. And then there's under responders, people in the bottom 10 or 15% who really don't lose nearly as much weight as we'd expect. And then the majority of people will fall somewhere in the middle. What makes people fall in the under responder versus the super responder category? It's very clear, it's genetics. So we know who's going to fall in this group within the first few months, but we don't necessarily know who our super responders are going to be. I found that typically we see weight loss in these super responders. It's not about how fast they lose the weight. It's about how long they lose the weight for. So I'll see a patient in a year and I'll look at their weight loss. I'll say, hey, this is pretty good. And then I see them again 6 months later and they've lost another 30 pounds and their weight loss has gone from pretty good to pretty amazing. And that's what I typically see, especially with women in this super responder group. We can tell in the under responders within the first few months. And what do you do if you're an under responder? We'll address that as well. So I'd like for you to recognize that this honeymoon period is an opportunity for you to change and craft a brand new lifestyle. You have no desire for processed food, so you're going to change the way you eat, the way you shop, the way you think about food to eliminate it. I want to make sure that you appreciate all your accomplishments by setting these small incremental goals along the way and recognize the value of these non-scale victories. And I think non-scale victories should be our primary measurement of success. Again, because the scale is predominantly a genetic response and you can't change your genes. The durability of your weight loss is much more driven on lifestyle, and that's really what we're after. I'd rather you only lose 80 pounds but keep it off for the rest of your life than lose 100 and regain 50, and I'm certain that you would too. So we have to recognize the importance of the non-scale victories, of improving your lifestyle, of improving your exercise, so that you are able to enjoy this time period and feel as if you really got the most out of the surgery that you possibly could. We'll also talk about protein shakes. They tend to be the mainstay of the post-operative diet for many, many years, decades often after surgery. But should they be? This is a question we're going to address. And then finally, some of the more social issues about your post-operative life, like navigating friends and family as you're losing weight and recognizing that there may be some changes in your relationship and why is this happening and what can you do about it. Addressing alcohol use, that's far and away my number one concern, particularly in my gastric bypass patients, is their postoperative alcohol use. And what do you do if you start to notice that your alcohol use is increasing or changing from what it was before surgery, and how you address this? This is a really, really important topic. Smoking and the danger of smoking for any bariatric patient after surgery, and how it will make you feel, and why it's so critical that you stop before surgery and never start again. You can go 2 or 3 years after surgery not smoking, and if you start again at year 3 post-op, you will have problems as a result of this. And then finally, pregnancy. How do you make plans for pregnancy? How is pregnancy different after surgery? What's better about it? What's worse about it? And how should you manage your life during your pregnancy? Also, things that can go wrong, like hair loss, and something I call the portion control trap, where you start to rely on portion control as your primary means of controlling your weight, rather than changing the types of food that you eat. We've already talked in our nutritional section at great length about how what you eat is so much more important than how much you eat. And if you're eating fruit and vegetables and nuts and seeds and beans as your primary source of nutrition, then it doesn't matter how much of that you eat. Patients get into trouble when they start eating small pieces of pizza at 6 months out from surgery, where those pieces get larger and eventually onto multiple pieces at 1, 2, 3 years out from surgery. And next thing you know, your diet is just the same as it was before surgery, and now you are at risk for weight regain. And we'll talk about common myths like eating and drinking at the same time, and carbonation, and other things that have really spread throughout our community as this standard advice that everybody is encouraged to follow, but probably isn't nearly as big of a deal. And instead of focusing on those things, I try to teach people some more guiding principles about how to determine how certain foods and how certain behaviors affect their body and their eating, and look at things from that perspective, coming up with the best plan for you, as opposed to following rules blindly. So the bottom line is that the honeymoon years are often the best part of life after surgery. But it's really important that we use these years to our advantage, to set you up with the lifestyle changes that will guarantee you a lifelong success.